What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews. Spider-Man Far From Home had some really fun surprises, but probably the biggest ones came in the post-credit scenes. So in this video, not only am I going to explain what happens during those post-credit scenes, but I'm also going to give you a little bit more breakdown and analysis just to kind of give you a better understanding of what happened and the bigger impact that it has for the MCU moving forward. Now, if you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home, and if you don't want things ruined for you, then please consider this your very strong spoiler alert. Feel free to bookmark this video to watch it later, and then come on back so we can discuss what happens in more detail. Okay, if you're still here, I'm assuming that A, you've either seen the movie already, or B, you just don't care about spoilers, so whatever, let's get into it. As the movie ends with Spider-Man web-slinging through New York with MJ, they get ready to part ways until they're interrupted by a breaking news broadcast. Mysterio is shown on screen in the middle of the city saying that Spider-Man was losing his mind and attacking him for no reason. Mysterio claimed that Spidey weaponized some drones that belonged to Stark Industries, also that Spidey could become the new Iron Man. The broadcasted footage then shows a clip of Spider-Man's voice giving a command to have the drones attack Mysterio. This, of course, was altered and manipulated by Mysterio to make Spider-Man look like a real villain. Then, lo and behold, the footage cuts right to J. Jonah Jameson appearing on screen, portrayed by none other than the one and only J.K. Simmons. And I have to admit, this was the part of the movie where I and probably a number of other Spider-Man fans just got up and started yelling and screaming. I'm in the theater like, yes, yes, yes. Because look, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you know that J.K. Simmons is like the hands down best J. Jonah Jameson that we could ever have. He killed it in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and this was a treat. This was like some great fan service that was totally appreciated, and it was absolutely one of the most fun moments in the movie. Now, unfortunately, Jameson doesn't have his signature high top haircut, but that's okay because having J.K. Simmons back is good enough. Now, you may notice that the Daily Bugle is now an online media site rather than a traditional newspaper. Now, you might hear some people drawing comparisons to Jameson being similar to the conservative conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, but I think that this portrayal of Jameson is more in line with the comics and the cartoons. Anyway, JJ starts going off about how Spider-Man is to blame not only for the Eternals coming about, but also alleges that Spider-Man murdered Mysterio with the drones from Stark Industries. Along with that, Jameson starts to elevate Mysterio as a true interdimensional warrior who gave his life to protect the planet. You know, some real fake news. Then, before the broadcast is complete, Mysterio, with his dying breath, reveals Spider-Man's true identity as being Peter Parker to the entire world. Wow. Now, if you thought Aunt May finding out about Peter's secret was a big deal, this right here definitely takes the cake. Now, all of this was, of course, all part of Mysterio's goal from the beginning. He has always tried to control the narrative with his illusions and manipulation of information. Now, if we go back into the film, during the battle in London, Mysterio gives some subtle hints of his master plan. Remember William, the former Stark employee that we saw from Iron Man 1? Well, Mysterio yelled at him that it was okay to stop the illusion of the monster attack because regardless, people will believe whatever Mysterio wants them to believe. That's the first clue that he was definitely in control. The next clue he gives is to Spider-Man when he says that he always has a contingency plan. Given the fact that Mysterio always wanted to be perceived as a hero on the grand stage, all he really had to do was create a villain to oppose him. Now, in case you missed it, right after Mysterio appeared to be killed, we see William quickly download something from his laptop and escape the scene. Presumably, he took the footage from the drones in order to create the doctored footage that we saw later. So obviously, with this huge reveal of Spider-Man's identity, it's going to be a big issue for him to deal with in potential sequels. If I had to guess, a potential Spider-Man sequel probably wouldn't happen until literally near the year 2023, because keep in mind that all of the events that are happening in Spider-Man Far From Home are taking place 8 months after everyone has been returned from being dusted thanks to the Hulk in Endgame. Now I do have another theory about this specific post-credit scene, but I'll save that for another video in the future because I gotta work out some more of the kinks. So if you happen to be new to my channel, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out whenever I do drop that video. Now let's get to the final post-credit scene, which of course dropped the biggest bomb. It begins with Nick Fury and Maria Hill driving along until they both turn into Skrulls. Apparently both Talos and his wife have been masquerading to be both Hill and Fury this whole time. Talos' wife says, "You gotta tell him." And Talos says, "It was fine, the little boy handled it. How was I supposed to know that the whole thing was fake?" Talos then calls someone on the other line and debriefs the situation by saying that they gave Parker the glasses from Stark and how it was all very touching. Talos then tells the person on the phone that they need to come back because people are asking where are the Avengers, and Talos doesn't have a really good answer for that. We then jump to the other person on the line, who happens to be the real Nick Fury. Fury appeared to be on some sort of tropical island, but that also was revealed to be just a simulation. It almost looked like he was enjoying Tahiti, which we all know is a magical place. As Fury gets up and turns off the simulation, he begins walking around what appears to be a large facility in space that happens to be run by Skrulls. He tells everyone, "Alright, get back to work," and the scene cuts. So this scene by itself prompts a number of questions. First off, how long have Talos and his wife been masquerading as Maria Hill and Nick Fury? There was an interesting clue at least earlier in the film when Spider-Man asked, "What about Captain Marvel?" and Fury, or Talos, told him not to dare invoke her name. Although odd at first, it was kinda understandable how we could overlook that reference given the friendship that Fury and Captain Marvel shared. However, Fury never comes off to be kinda like this religious type of guy, or even a person that would ever use the word invoke with such a reverence for someone else's name. That would only come from someone who probably viewed Captain Marvel as more than a hero and maybe even as a savior. Kinda like how Talos and the other Skrulls probably perceive her after she saved them years ago. Anyway, the biggest question here is, what is Fury up to and why is he working with the Skrulls? Well, I think the most logical answer to that would probably be that Fury is expanding S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's currently developing the Sentient World Observation and Response Department. As many of you comic fans would know, we could just also call that SWORD for short. Get it? S.H.I.E.L.D., SWORD. Now, for those of you who don't know, SWORD is kind of like the space version of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it serves as a counterterrorism and intelligence agency to protect the world from alien threats. Now, this does make a ton of sense because given who we know Nick Fury to be, it would make a lot of sense that Fury would begin to start worrying about alien attacks. So after developing the Avengers Protocol and taking over S.H.I.E.L.D., the next logical step would be for him to move on up to space. The inclusion of the Skrulls is a rather interesting one too. Does this mean that the Skrulls will continue to be good guys? You know, counter to the villainous Skrulls that we've seen in the comics? It would appear that if Skrulls have been impersonating Fury and Hill all this time, then maybe the secret invasion has already happened, except in a different way in the MCU. One more thing to think about, with Talos telling Fury that people keep asking about the Avengers and where they are, maybe Fury will come up with the wild idea to have the Skrulls impersonate the Avengers. That way people wouldn't be panicking if a future threat were to come about. That would certainly be a new and different way for the MCU to twist the Secret Invasion storyline from the comics. But you guys let me know in the comments below if you'd like that type of direction for the future of the MCU, or if you'd have some other ideas of where this big reveal of the Skrulls may lead. By the way, after seeing Far From Home, I did feel a little salty with my last theory video about the Captain Marvel mystery. In case you missed it, I posted a video suggesting that there's been a missing Skrull on Earth that hasn't been accounted for since Captain Marvel. The hilarious and ironic thing is that in that video, I completely discount both Hill and Fury as being the missing Skrull. Although I will say that there is still a possibility that the character I chose in that video could maybe someday be revealed to be a Skrull too. Anyway, I'm very interested in hearing what you all have to think about these post-credit scenes. I mean, did any of them blow your mind? Did they have you super excited the way that they did for me? Which one of them was your favorite? And one thing I'm very curious about is, did these post-credit scenes kind of give you a little bit more confidence for the future of the MCU? Because let's be honest, when you take out some of your big heavy hitters, it could lead a little bit of doubt for the future of the MCU. But maybe these post-credit scenes, you know, give you a little bit of a confidence boost. There's just obviously a lot to talk about, so I'm very curious to see what ideas you guys come up with. I know I personally have a lot of research to do because I've got another working theory for this post-credit scene, so clearly I have a lot of work to do, and hopefully I'll get it done so I can share it all with you. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me. You guys know I always appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend who might find it helpful. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.